Last weekend, for the first time in the history of the Flyweight Conference, the conference held a girls' wrestling tournament. The inaugural event took place at Horace Mann High School in North Fondy. There were 16 wrestlers that competed in 8 different weight classes. Before we get into highlights from the night, we caught up with North Fondy Springs coach Doug Forsyth. He spearheaded the effort to host a girls' tournament. Here's that conversation.
Yeah, we really want to continue to grow the sport for the girls. It's so exciting to see them get these opportunities now. And so I was bound and determined to make tonight happen. I really, there's enough girls in our conference that it was worthwhile to have a tournament and get these matches in and crown our first conference champions. I mean, it was really a fun night. The girls competed hard, and hopefully there were some younger kids in the audience that saw what happened and said, hey, I want to do that next year.
Yeah, well, I was going to say things like this can only help, right? To get people to see that, hey, I can go wrestle and I can win a conference championship and I can be part of a team and win and compete. That's what it's all about. And I guess just the more of these things we can do, right, and host events like this, got to help the sport.
Yeah, I think so. And, having a tournament tonight, and hopefully we'll get some of these kids ready for regionals next week, and because that's all new for the girls too. That we haven't had regionals for the girls in the past. So hopefully tonight will get some of them, get some of the nerves out, because I know for my girls it was really important. They understood the history behind it and being the first ever conference champions, and they really wanted to compete hard. So, and hopefully it'll get rid of some of the nerves maybe for next week.
Now on to the wrestling, where Campbell Sports girls dominated the proceedings. All 5 of the Cougars wrestlers won their weight classes, taking home 5 of the 8 championships that were won on the night. It started at 107 with Ireland Woolheather. The sophomore got a good battle from Laconia freshman Savannah Britton, but Woolheather was able to seal a second period pin and win the first ever flyweight title. This past weekend, Woolheather earned her 30th win. Her thoughts post-match.
I think it's really cool how it's like the first year there's been like an actual like girls team and like having their own conference and like just how well everybody's worked together. I'm really grateful that we have Dan because he always makes sure that like all the tournaments around here that we can get in so we can get more practice when all the other girls only are having like 10 total matches when we had that by like the first month of the season so that we can be like better prepared for our matches.
Junior Emerson Wissink got a pin of her own at 120 pounds. She earned the fall in the second period against North Fondy Springs freshman Shannara Guerra. Wissink says wrestling has challenged her both mentally and physically.
It's definitely been a big growing experience for me, both mentally and physically. I really have pushed myself a lot, and it's tough sometimes, but in the end it's really worth it. I've noticed a lot more changes in myself in wrestling, and also pushing myself outside of it. I thought it was really awesome. The atmosphere was really great, lots of cheering, the lights out, the smoke, everything. Really cool. We haven't really experienced something like that with our tournaments or anything yet.
Sophomore Emma Batzler is the only returning wrestler for Campbellsport. Last year she qualified for state at 126. Batzler won the first conference title at 132 this year. She knocked off Laconia's Adeline Lask via tech fall 21-4. Batzler, another wrestler with already more than 30 wins this year. She has just 6 losses on what has already been a successful year.
It's been a huge honor to be able to help grow a girls program in this conference and at our school, especially with last year only having 2 girls and then expanding to 6 at the beginning of the season this year. It was super cool to be a part of and to watch these girls grow as wrestlers and as teammates and stuff. It's been super fun to have them come up preseason and out of the wrestling room, and being able to work with them has been such a blast, and to see them be successful and exceed is really fun to watch. And to see the rest of the schools getting more girls and gaining more exposure has been super cool to see, and to see it growing as its own sport has been super cool.
Then it was freshman Maya Schroffnagel's turn as she earned a second period pin of Winnebago Lutheran's Alex Yankee. Schroffnagel, the 3rd wrestler from Campbellsport to pass the 30-win mark.
It actually means a lot because us girls work really hard at practice and at the tournaments, and it was nice that they could do something like that for us, and we worked really hard for it, so it's the fastest growing sport. It's really fun, and I'm not surprised that it's the fastest growing sport. Like back in middle school, I had to wrestle guys, and now that it's like taking off as much as it has, now I only have to wrestle girls, and I think that's really good because then you're wrestling people that actually have like the same technique and style as you, and it's not much different.
Abigail Shush didn't have anyone in her weight class at 126, and she says she wishes she would have been able to compete, but the night, still a cool experience.
It's a pretty cool experience to be a part of the first conference for girls for our conference. It was kind of cool that we won it, and we can start our own streak away from the boys. Kind of upsetting that I didn't have a match, but it was still fun to watch my teammates win their brackets.
Shushk at 126 was one of 3 weight classes that awarded champs unopposed. At 114, North Fondy Springs freshman Harmony Lang was crowned champ, and Lamira's Ariana Cronin was the first ever champ at 185. That left just one weight class, 145. That's where Laconia's Tessa Zock took home the title, with a pin at the start of the second period over Deanna Rosas of North Fond du Lac Springs. Zock was the only wrestler to go 2-0 on the night, beating WLA's Erin Foose in the semifinal and then going on to win the final. We were not able to catch up with Zock following her win. A few more highlights to show. WLA's Alex Yankee, who we just mentioned, finished second behind Schroffnagel, got a semifinal win against Lamira freshman Lavana Strelo. Yankee's record is 13-8 headed into regionals. And Adeline Last, who finished runner-up to Batzler, earned a win via pin in the semifinal against WLA exchange student Olympe Lucchini. Last enters the postseason with an 8-8 record. It was a historic night crowning the first ever flyweight champs. We caught up with Campbell Sport coach Dan Heisdorf, who's put in a lot of time and effort to schedule so many matches for his team. All Campbell Sport girls have wrestled more than 35 matches this season. Here's Heisdorf at the end of the night.
They bought in very early. All 5 of them go to AWA. Actually, we got an 8th grader that goes with them as well, so we got her coming up next year, Savannah. But yeah, they bought in right away. We've been wrestling tournaments every weekend. As you can see, we had a lot more matches than everyone else. We're sitting around 40 matches right now. But yeah, I don't know what to say. That they put in all the work. They're going AWA on Sundays and Tuesdays. They all go together. They're a tight bunch. They support each other, and that's what it takes. Now it's just a matter of recruiting more girls so we can get a full team.
Full teams would be awesome. Obviously, the participation that you guys have is better than a lot of schools. But like I mentioned, the sport is growing amongst girls in this state. Wrestling fan like yourself, that's got to be cool to see. And I guess what's the next step? I guess in the process, more things like this would help, right?
Oh, definitely. We're not the only. There's schools that already have girls conference tournaments. So thing that we're getting at now is they were used to be running the boys and girls simultaneously, but now the girls tournaments are getting so big they got to run them Fridays and the boys Saturday. So yeah, the last few tournaments we've been at, there's been over 200 girls. So which is it keeps growing and growing. I mean, we've had brackets of the upper 20s for some of these girls, so that's real exciting to see. And hopefully we get to a point where WA's got to make a decision about having 2 divisions at some point.
We've kind of gone back and forth. It's cool how girls wrestling is starting to take off in Wisconsin like it should be, and a night tonight that we get to celebrate it here in the Flyweight Conference. Pretty cool. Yeah,
it's very cool to have. Doug put this all together about a month ago, and yeah, he made a good show of it tonight with the fogger and the light show, and this is really special. This is cool. The first ever Flyweight Girls Conference Championship, and hopefully many more to come.
They didn't award a trophy for the team standings, but here they are from the 5 teams represented. Campbell Sport, similarly to the boys program, looks to be building a girls wrestling powerhouse. What a cool night. Awesome to be there to cover the first ever Girls Conference Championships. Our postseason coverage is brought to you all postseason by Tom's Quality Millwork and Hardwoods from Campbell Sport. We appreciate their support of local conference wrestling and the road to the state championships.